On this episode of China Uncensored, the inside story of a Chinese official who risked his life to defect. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, life can be tough for Chinese communist officials. Long hours of hard work, monitoring dissidents and critical voices. But Chinese officials are only human, and sometimes they simply get fed up. I sat down with Chen Yonglin. He was the consul for political affairs at the Chinese consulate here in Sydney. But then, one day in 2005, he decided he'd had enough of being forced to spy on overseas Chinese. And he walked out of the Chinese consulate forever and put his life on the line to tell the world how the Chinese Communist Party really operates. Thank you for joining us. So tell us, why did you defect from China and seek political asylum in Australia?
This is complicated. I've been thinking a long time for leaving the Chinese government. My father was persecuted to death during the Cultural Revolution by the Chinese regime, and also I joined the Tiananmen pro-democracy movement in 1989 and witnessed the massacre event. And also in the past several years, I can see that I feel there's no future for China, and I don't want to live in that environment. And also, I don't want my child being brainwashed as I was.
Before you defected, you were doing things that you felt were morally questionable.
I used to be certain kind of proud to being a Chinese diplomat. It seems I'm joining the policy decision to contribute to the national interest. But when I arrived in Sydney, I found this is not the case, and found a Chinese diplomat is a shameful career, a shameful job, and because what the diplomats are doing is not try to contribute to the country, is actually try to join certain kind of persecution against dissident groups.
After you defected, did you face any danger or retaliation from the Communist Party?
Yes, actually, there are a lot of risk. At the beginning, they found us and tried to take us back to the consulate. Probably, they tried to kidnap me back to China, and said that this guy voluntarily returned to China. They tried to take something like this.
I believe I remember hearing you say you had a source who told you there was some kind of assassination squad sent after you?
Yeah, I have a source from my colleagues in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and of course sometimes I can get sources from other department, which some friend I make when the delegation visit from China.
What did they tell you?
They imply that there's a team of MSS, and they are going to doing some missions that will targeting my family.
So they went after your family?
The targeting of my family. Actually, of course, the main target is me.
Are you in danger right now?
If I do too much, if they thought that I'm playing a leading role in some area, they may try to hurt my family or harm myself in a certain way.
And if you're too quiet?
If it too quiet, the same thing. Too quiet, they can also take action.
So you need to be just loud enough.
Yeah, that's right. Just loud enough and do as much as I can.
So how did your family and friends react to you defecting?
When I left the consulate, I have prepared that these friends or relatives will all cut connection with me, and but for my family, my wife and my child, we just want to pursue a life here in the freedom world.
How does the Chinese consulate silence critical voices within the Chinese Australian community?
There's many ways to silence the dissident's voice. There's many ways, and one is actually the China infiltrated the Chinese community organizations, and it's generally via money, use the money to influence these communities, and also try to isolate the dissident voice, and Falun Gong at that time in 2000 from 2001 to 2005, when I was in the consulate, was actually the main target, and to make the Chinese community generally resent the Falun Gong practitioners, and it's very effective, obviously, because the propaganda to defame the Falun Gong totally.
And I understand after you defected, you quit the Chinese Communist Party. Can you tell us a bit about that?
At that time, not many Chinese have the gall to have the courage to declare publicly that they quit from the CCP, because in the communist system, you can only join. They usually or expel. There's no resign or quit.
It's like a bad party, only you can't leave.
You can't leave. You control. You join the party. It's like cult, like a evil cult. Biggest, you can see the largest evil cult group. Oh,
that's funny. They usually call the Falun Gong the evil cult.
That's usually if you read the Chinese Communist Party propaganda, you should read the opposite meaning. That is correct. So if CCP said that this is the evil part, the evil group, Falun Gong is evil, that means Falun Gong is really good.
How do Chinese Australians feel about the Chinese Communist Party's presence in Australia?
They feel very scared, obviously. Yeah, the feeling is awful because the mainland Chinese immigrants, they have a very the family usually they suffered from persecution from the CCP. They came to Australia. They feel relaxed and feel safe, but in the past decade, and the Chinese feel, the Australian Chinese Australian feel that their lifestyle been threatened.
So how do you feel about the growing influence of the Chinese Communist Party in Australia?
I feel very bad, extremely bad, because my child will live here, and this is our new home, and because if Chinese influence, communist influence is here, and we feel that we still in China. We're still in China. This place is is turning red, and it's also against my will that I don't want my child to be brainwashed as I was, and now we can see the Chinese propaganda here, and if you can see that on the Sam Destigliari case, even the MPs speak for China's interest.
Is there anything that can be done to stop the Communist Party's growing influence around the world?
That rely on the Western democracy. They should know that China has never given up the Cold War thinking, the ideological, the propaganda.
They just have the Cold War mentality.
Yeah, totally, and they just stay low, and as Deng Xiaoping said, hiding our capacity, biding our time. So when time is proper, they will launch the fierce attack at the Western ideology again.
What do you think is the most important thing about the Chinese Communist Party that the West doesn't understand?
The Chinese Communist Party is very cunning, deceptive, and the very cunning and deceptive. The propaganda, all the propaganda are lies, but in the disguise of a beautiful, looking, and it's like the red ballet, the red detachment of women. It's fascist aesthetics, looks beautiful, but it's all about hatred and brutality, and that will actually will influence the public, about the basic human rights values.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Chen. This was a very enlightening interview.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Did you like this episode? Want to see more? Our trip to Australia was funded by financial support from viewers like you. Click here to visit our Patreon website. Contribute $1 or more per episode to make China Uncensored even better.